When most people think of magical forests, they imagine something out of a storybook. A place where cute little animals talk to you and magical creatures frolic in the sunlight. And while there are certainly places like that scattered throughout Middle-earth, the forest most commonly associated with magic is quite different. The forest itself is imbued with power from the very fact that it is home to the ancient and mysterious Entwives, and yet much of that magic has been corrupted by the shadow of Dol Guldur and the Necromancer. And encompassing much of the northern half of Middle-earth's northern continent of Middle-earth, to the north, the forest borders the river Saranen and the plains of Rudor. Even during the day, the forest is perpetually shrouded in twilight, lit only by shafts of dim green light that filter down from the canopy above. These elusive creatures live among the trees of Mirkwood, and it is said that they are never seen twice by the same person. Sauron came to Mirkwood after leaving the Blue Mountains in the late Second Age, and he set up his fortress at Dol Guldur in order to spy on the Free Peoples. We're going to give each forest a rating from 1 to 5, and in each category, 5 is the best. We'll start with the lore category, which is based on how important the forest is to the overall story of Middle-earth. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Forest of Drizzt, and I have a feeling that's going to be an interesting one. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit like and subscribe and leave a comment telling us what you thought. As always, thanks for watching. Is it simply a backdrop, or does it play an active role in the narrative? Next is the magic category, which speaks for itself. How much magic is there in the forest? Are the trees sentient, or is the forest home to some kind of elemental being? Then there's the threat category. How dangerous is the forest? Are there trolls living under the bridges, or maybe a Balrog at the end of the path? Next is the wonder category. Does the forest inspire awe and wonder, or is it simply a dark and scary place? And finally, we have the beauty category. Is the forest a pleasant place to spend time in, or is it a miserable, dark, dank place? Okay, so let's see how Mirkwood does. With the help of his servants, he corrupted much of the forest's magic and caused many of the trees to twist and warp. I mean, Mirkwood is clearly an important location in Middle-earth, but compared to somewhere like Fangorn Forest, it's just not as important. Next is magic, which is definitely going to be a 4. Mirkwood is obviously a magically potent place, though much of that magic has been corrupted by Sauron. Then we have the threat category, which is definitely a 4 as well. Mirkwood is absolutely filled with danger. From poisonous plants to wargs and trolls, you really don't want to get lost in this forest. Next is wonder, which is a bit of a toss-up. I could see this being either a 3 or a 4. There are definitely elements of Mirkwood that inspire wonder, but at the same time, it's a pretty dark and scary place. And finally, beauty, which will definitely be a 1. Mirkwood is unpleasant, dark and dank, and it's not a place that anyone should want to spend much time in. He also unleashed fell beasts upon the land, including wargs, trolls, and orcs. For nearly 3 centuries, Sauron watched over his domain from Dol Guldur, directing the Nazgul as they rode forth to harass the men of the West and hunting down any elf or dwarf who dared to enter the forest. With the help of the Nine Walkers, Sauron eventually succeeded in turning much of Mirkwood against the Free Peoples. It became a place where elves and men feared to tread, and the Entwives were driven out, never to return. Only after the destruction of Dol Guldur and the defeat of the Necromancer did the forest begin to heal. Though the elves who returned to Mirkwood reported that much of the forest's magic was gone, the Ents were still there, hidden deep within their roots. Whenever someone enters the forest, the woodmen appear to guide them, though whether they are friend or foe is not certain. They are said to look like men, but with pointed ears and long beards, and they tend to wear cloaks and carry bows and knives. Some believe that they are the spirits of the trees, and others claim that they are the last descendants of the Númenórean prince Idriel, who was turned to stone by the Witch King. Whatever their origins, they clearly have a deep connection to the forest, and they are rumored to know its secrets and dangers. Because of this, many plants that cannot thrive in the light grow freely in Mirkwood, such as mushrooms and various types of fungus. Some of these are simply unsightly, but others are deadly. Even more unnerving are the strange creatures that make their homes among the roots of Mirkwood. In ages past, the Entwives used to grow vegetables in Mirkwood's many clearings, and after their disappearance, the seeds that they planted continued to grow, becoming wild and spreading through the forest. Many of these plants are perfectly safe, but some are extremely poisonous and can kill a man in just a few hours. To the west, it gives way to the mountains that surround the Gap of Rohan. In the south, the land rises to meet it, forming the southern spur of the Misty Mountains, which hide the forest from the eyes of men in the east. The forest is bordered by the river running Silver and the plains of Calenardin. In ages past, Mirwood was part of the great forest known as the Greenwood the Great, but it became separated from the rest when the forest was cut down by Sauron in the Second Age. Still, it remained connected to the Brownlands to the northwest by an unbroken line of trees along the river Saranen. That is, until the Entwives went missing. When the men of the west marched east to take up arms against Sauron, they found the Entwives gone and their villages abandoned. The trees near the river had been felled, opening up the forest to the plains of Rudor and severing the last connection between Mirwood and the rest of the Greenwood. Here, trees twist into unnatural shapes, and gnarled roots writhe across the forest floor, hiding all manner of dangerous creatures. There are very few clearings in Mirwood, and the straight paths that once ran through the forest have long since been overgrown and lost. Because of this, the forest is almost impossible to navigate without a guide, and even the wildest animals seem to know their way around it. Though, sometimes animals can be helpful. In 2980 of the Third Age, 3 hunters from Dale became lost in the woods. They were being stalked by a warg, and it seemed as though they would surely die. Just as the creature was about to strike, however, a company of woodmen appeared out of nowhere and drove off the warg. Though secretive, the woodmen didn't speak to the Dale residents. When the men awoke the next morning, they found themselves outside the forest, with no memory of how they got there. Through it all, a disquieting silence hangs heavy in the air, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the cries of birds. But as you push deeper into the woods, you begin to hear whispers on the wind, murmurs of forgotten lore carried on the breeze. They seem to come from the trees themselves, from the very roots of the forest. And what do these whispers say? Sometimes they speak of great battles long past and the deeds of heroes from a forgotten age. Other times they tell of dark things, of Sauron's servants and their terrible plots, or they speak of the ancient Entwives and their slow and terrible fate. The deeper you go, the darker the whispers become, until it seems as though the forest itself is trying to warn you away. But if you listen closely, you can hear another sound beneath the whispers, a faint but steady pulse like a heartbeat echoing through the trees. This is the true song of Mirwood, a magic older and more powerful than any other. It is the music of the Ents, and if you can find its source, then perhaps you too can tap into the ancient power of the forest. In the darkest depths of Mirkwood, deep within the heart of the Greenwood the Great, magic is everywhere, or at least it tries to be. This is the first episode of our series on magical forests. Now, when we did our video on the Barrow Downs, one of you commented that instead of doing a video on the Misty Mountains, we should do one on Fangorn Forest, the home of the Ents. Now, I told you then that Fangorn was already on the list, but I never specified when. Since the Barrow Downs were done, well, I figured why not. So here we are, bringing you the first installment in our series on magical forests, the Whispering Woods. Mirkwood covers a vast area of Middle-earth, stretching for over 200 miles from east to west now. Because of the thick canopy overhead, it can be difficult to date the trees of Mirwood, but by all accounts, many of them are several thousand years old. The trees of Mirwood are all twisted and gnarled, with tangled roots that writhe across the forest floor. While Mirkwood is mostly silent, there is one type of sound that can often be heard echoing through the trees, the song of the woodman. Though we've now spoken at length about the forest itself, haven't yet mentioned the greatest danger that lurks within, the necromancer. Now, before we get to our map, I want to quickly explain our new system for magical forests. First, we have the lore category, which is probably going to be a 3. Okay, so that's our magical forest for today.